understand that there is a certain constituent that needs greater state support, and we will do what is the right thing to do. But as far as Delhi is concerned, it's too premature to comment on it because much water has flown in the Yamuna, and that too unclean water, which hasn't been attended to by the Kejriwal government. So we'll come to Delhi when we come to it. Right now, we are looking at Maharashtra and Jharkhand elections, and I think we've done phenomenally well in
Amit,
both.
what will you tell those from your opposition who say it's 1-1 today? What will you tell them? If they turn around tomorrow, today and Congress says 1-all, what will you tell them?
I would ask them to go to the Congress headquarters and see for themselves whether it is 1-1 or is it 2-0. It's as simple as that. And if anybody thinks this is 1-1, well, good luck to them. This is exactly how Congress behaved after winning 99 seats in Lok Sabha. They thought they had won a full mandate, and you see what's happened in Haryana, Maharashtra.
What did you make of Rahul Gandhi's campaign in the manner in which he was brandishing the constitution, speaking of reservation, even though this was a local election, and targeting one particular corporate house and building this whole Maharashtra versus Gujarat narrative? You know, how do you see that having played out in your lens at the hustings?
Look, I have said this publicly, and I've said this several times, that George Soros and his henchmen cannot help Rahul Gandhi and the Congress win elections in India. This is a script out of George Soros's playbook. We saw this play out in the American election. We saw exactly similar thing being said by Rahul Gandhi. Now, I don't understand why Rahul Gandhi would do bidding of a geriatric investor based out of the US, unless he thinks that he can somehow help him win elections. It's not going to happen. Rahul Gandhi can target whichever corporate group he wants. The corporate group will defend itself. But I have a larger concern around his politics, because if you're going to target the entrepreneurs of the country, if you're going to target big businesses who create employment and job opportunities, then there is a problem. There's a problem with that mindset. And the last
but big businessmen are not allowed to get caught in, not every big businessman gets caught in bribery, serious bribery charges. So, I mean, when you say that, you're right. Big business cannot be targeted, but if you're caught in bribery, surely you should have a stronger line and say anyone who violates the law must be acted against.
3 days ago, India's Competition Commission has fined Meta and WhatsApp for $25.47 million for sharing data. Now, clearly, I haven't seen a single response either from the Democrats or the Republicans on the statement or the fine imposed by the Competition Commission here. So if
you can't compare that to bribery, sir, of government officials. Let's be clear. Bribery of government officials, and their Andhra Pradesh government, which is named, which is not your party, but you seem going out of your way to somehow or the other say that that's okay, that's kosher, that's targeting a businessman.
I again repeat myself. It is for the concerned corporate to defend themselves in America. And if there is a wrongdoing here, as has been alleged by the American court order, then it will be investigated. All the four state governments are actually of Congress and their alliance partners.
No, there was a central government of the J&K run under central rule, but that's another point. The point I want to ask you
point. Let me answer that. Don't get excited. Yes. Let me answer that. That was during Satyapal Malik's tenure as the Lieutenant Governor. We all know that his tenure is under CBI investigation even before this came up. So we know exactly what we are doing.
Okay, let me ask you then in conclusion, the final big question, kaun banega Mukhyamantri? Shiv Sainiks who have come on our show say it should be Eknath Shinde. Do you believe as a BJP Karyakarta that it should be Devendra Fadnavis's time has come, that he deserves this moment?
I know one thing for a fact, that this is a win for the BJP-led Mahayuti. The decision on who will be the chief minister will be decided by the partners and eventually endorsed by the BJP's parliamentary board. And let that happen as it happens. It's not something that we can discuss or debate.
What is your preference? You must have a preference. Do you believe that
You're trying to get him into trouble?
No, I'm not getting him into trouble. And I think
he's not going to answer that question.
Shiv Sainiks are coming openly on the show and saying it should be Eknath Shinde. Why is the BJP hesitant? Surely this is Devendra Fadnavis's moment in the sun.
Look, my concern right now, Rajdeep, is that it would be nice if you could be a little unbiased in your coverage. Who becomes the chief minister is for us to decide. Leave it to us to decide. We will do it.
Okay.
It's not for
Okay.
television studios. Let's focus on what you and I can do here. And my suggestion to you is that try and report what you see and not what you want to see. I think that will make for good. So let's close it here.
Okay, I will take that. Only since this
Okay.
is the first election I've got right
Thanks,
in
Amit Malviya,
2024.
for
I'm
joining
going to
us.
keep pressing the point that I said Mahayuti would
I
win,
want
but
to
that's
go
okay.
across very quickly. Thank you, Mr. Malviya, for joining us. I want to go across very quickly to Praful Patel from the Ajit Pawar NCP. They've performed phenomenally well. He's in the meeting of a party. He's in a party meeting. He's joined us from there. Mr. Patel, welcome and congratulations. This is a phenomenal victory for your alliance.
Thank you, Rahul. I think this has been a great moment for us. And this has been a great moment for us. And for the entire Mahayuti, everybody worked together. And our schemes were so beneficial for the people. And especially women voters came out in large numbers. So we are very happy, of course. And I think this has been one of the most spectacular victories in the history of Maharashtra. It's not just
Your
about
men-
this election.
Your
And here I'm
mentor...
just showing the camera.
Yes.
Mr. Ajit Pawar is here.
Oh, how nice.
Can we say hi to him? Can we
Yes, you can
congratulate
speak
him?
hi to Mr. Ajit Pawar. He's here.
Ajit Dada, Rajdeep Sardesai here. Sir, namaskar. Rajdeep Sardesai here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
ये बहुत बड़ी
Thank you.
ये लोकसभा के बाद
Hello.
ये बड़ी
Yes.
No, but the question really...
No, he can answer also. He can say more than just that. You can turn it again to him and say, आपको ये जीत कैसी लगती है? I'm asking him. Can he give us reply?
Our victory has been spectacular. It is a combination of all three parties working in coordination, minus a few seats here and there. 95% of the seats, all the parties worked in sync with each other. The other biggest factor is that the narrative, the fake narrative of the Lok Sabha, where the constitution will be amended, where a reservation will be abolished, all that has been completely demolished in this election. And the other factor, the farm prices of onions and some other crops were very low during the Lok Sabha election, which worked to the advantage of the opposition. But in this election, there are no such issues. The real issue is only of good schemes, good development. In fact, Maharashtra has taken the lead in investment in industry, and also the infrastructure development of Mumbai and the entire state has been something unprecedented.
Praful Bhai, the NCP
And
Sharad Pawar
Ladki
is at
Bahin,
12 seats.
our Ladki
Where-
Bahin
where-
scheme has
where
been
does-
a runaway success.
Sure.
Women, irrespective of caste, creed, or religion, have voted across the line overwhelmingly for the Mahayuti.
So where
And that
does it
is why
do you-
a lot of
in
the
your moment-
surprises which you see
Sir,
are
in your moment-
there in the
in your
seats.
moment of
And
triumph,
even where some of the
Mr.
Congress
Patel-
or NCP leaders are winning, it's with very slender margins. It's not really a victory even for the few seats that the opposition has won.
In your moment of victory, is there a little bit of sadness? Your guru, your political guru, Sharad Pawar, is only 12 seats, winning 12 seats. Is there an element of sadness there or not? Would you like to see a grand reconciliation or not?
I would not want to say anything at this stage except the fact that we wish all of us were together at one time. That's gone past the deadline. Now it's too late. We are fighting separately, and we have won convincingly. And the fact of the matter is that the Mahavikas Aghadi is in total shambles, and that is, I would say, something which all three parties who are lost will really have to now worry how to even get their act together.
Is there a bit of remorse in the sense that you're at 39 seats at the moment, the BJP at 124? They're so close to the majority mark that they don't really need too much of the NCP of Ajit Pawar and yourself. They are so close to the majority mark that they're pretty comfortable even by themselves.
Let me assure you that we have, even before the election, all of us decided to work unitedly, irrespective of how many seats we are winning or they are winning. And the fact of the matter is that we have all decided that no matter what the number, we will all be forming the government together. Now, who will lead the government is not something we have to take a call alone, that all three parties will sit together. But I can tell you, Mr. Amit Shah just called Mr. Ajit Pawar also. Of course, he spoke to Shinde ji. And it is decided that we are all three going to be forming the government together.
And who should be the chief minister, Mr. Patel?
Alliances are there to stay. Alliances are not meant to be just use and throw, okay? And
Who should be the chief minister? Who should be the chief minister? Who should be the chief minister?
Well, again, that is one question that only three parties, when they sit together, can answer.
Your
Nobody
choice.
can take a call
Your choice.
without sitting together.
Your choice. You must have a preference.
Anyway, I think we are very close to it. You'll hear it by tomorrow or day after, because we have to form the government by 26. So you will see a new, a formation in the government. Who gets how many seats in the government and all that will, of course, be a matter of detail. But the chief minister's position can only be discussed when the three parties sit together.
One last question before we let you go. You know, in the manner in which Mr. Gandhi attacked, you know, a corporate group, tried to turn this Maharashtra versus Gujarat, what do you make of the verdict of the voters in keeping with the kind of campaign that was mounted?
Well, Mr. Modi is a national icon. Of course, our Prime Minister, but at the moment, there is nobody who can match his popularity and his appeal. And the very fact of the matter is that he has transcended borders. In Maharashtra, if somebody tries to market Mr. Modi as a Gujarati and therefore he's not doing justice to Maharashtra, it won't work. And that's very evident in this election. And also the fact is, Mr. Gandhi just comes and attacks an Ambani or an Adani, has nothing concrete to offer to the people. So this is definitely going to not give him any results. And it's been proven time and again in national elections, in various state elections. And that's a repeat in Maharashtra also.
Lastly, what's your message to the 12 NCP Sharad Pawar MLAs who won? Are you saying, come join us? Ek ho jate?
Well, now at this moment, you're asking me too many questions. Just let the victory and sink in from our side, and let the defeat sink in to the other side. We'll see what happens later. We don't have any personal angst against anybody. The fact of the matter is that we decided to go consciously as a party in alliance with the Mahayuti, the BJP, and I think it's a vindication. The Lok Sabha was an aberration. People wrote us off as NCP because we were only fighting 3 real seats. Fourth one was only a filler seat. And if out of 4, if you win 1 and you write off NCP, it was not a fair assessment. But anyway, it's proven now that we fought 56 seats and you have seen our strike rate. Mr. Shinde has also done well and the BJP has done exceedingly well. So I think we are all very happy. Let us enjoy and rejoice the victory for a while. We'll give you more answers as our meetings progress. We have a meeting at 3 o'clock of all the 3 parties, including both the deputy CMs and the CM. After that, we'll let you know.
Okay. You've literally joined us from the middle of a meeting. I deeply appreciate you taking out time and accepting my request. Thank you very much, Mr. Patel, for joining us. Enjoy the party, the political party.
Just one very interesting micro detail, Nala Sopara, which made the headlines 3 days ago because that is where the allegations were made of cash for votes and money being in the hotel. Rajan Naik of the BJP is leading over Kshitij Thakur. Now, Kshitij Thakur is one of those MLAs who's been heavyweight MLAs who's been winning 3 elections. So both he and his father, the BVA, the Bahujan Vikas Aghadi, who've dominated the politics of Vasai Virar and areas, are losing. So what this election has shown, when there's a tsunami, even heavyweights have started losing of a kind, as I said, who've not lost 3 elections and more. So
Thorat is the biggest example of that. 35 years, Thorat hasn't lost an election and he's trailing.
So, you know, the man who hoped to be the chief minister if there was a Congress government
Prithviraj Chavan is trailing.
Prithviraj Chavan, less surprising. You know, he's had a tough time, but when Balasaheb Thorat starts losing in Sangamner, you know that this is a landslide election. These are constituencies and leaders who've not lost for years and years on end. So it's a combination, Rahul, of various factors led by, I think, by Ladli Bain and variety of other factors coming together.
Can I just make a cricketing analogy to say that at the time when you played one innings each, the MVA had an innings lead. They're starting from 30 versus 17, so they start with an innings lead and yet find a way of botching this up. So it's not just the victory; it wasn't even Stevens at the end of the Lok Sabha elections.
With one caveat, which I think Amit Malviya made, and I think that's right, that while the numbers look 30-17, in Vidhan Sabha segments it was very close.
Oh, sure.
In vote share it was close. The BJP built on what they had lost in 2024. The Congress squandered it.
I'm joined at this time, live and exclusive, and for the first time since this verdict came out, by one of the key architects of this victory on the Ajit Pawar side. We just heard from Praful Patel. I'm now joined by his chief strategist. We've got Naresh Arora joining us. Naresh Arora runs Design Box. Before this, Naresh worked with Ashok Gehlot. He's worked with Congress campaigns, comes from Punjab, ran some campaigns for independent candidates in 2017 by himself, ran for the MLA candidate, and from there has now set this up, worked with Ajit Pawar and was in some ways responsible for the image makeover of Ajit Pawar, getting him to don pink, smile, reach out to women, give interviews to people like us who otherwise would have had no hope of getting an interview with Ajit Pawar, but basically open him up to the public, open him up to the media. So we've got Naresh Arora now joining us on this broadcast. Naresh bhai, welcome. You've got quite a phenomenal strike rate for... actually, you're wearing pink yourself. You get your client to wear pink and you're wearing pink yourself. This is a big victory. 39 out of 59 odd seats for the NCP Ajit Pawar faction. You struck gold in Maharashtra.
Naresh, can you hear us?
Okay, give us a moment. We'll try and fix that.
Okay, but it's interesting. The reinvention of Ajit Pawar is one of the more interesting phenomena. Anyone who covered Maharashtra politics said the one thing, Ajit Pawar never smiled. And the other thing was Ajit Pawar never, or if ever, gave interviews. If he gave it, a very bruised short, couple of bites. Over the last 3 months, he's given more interviews than he's ever given in his life.
No, but I asked him this question, and to which he said, listen, it's not like I didn't want to speak to you. It wasn't my job. I was the karyakarta on the ground, the worker. There was no reason for me to speak. Supriya Sule and Sharad Pawar were our national leaders. They had to speak. I never had any reason to speak.
No, he gave us the first interview, if you recall, during the Lok Sabha. And that in itself was unusual because he'd never given an interview until then. First time spoken in Hindi. Even the interviews that he had given until then were always in Marathi. And I was very impressed with Ajit Pawar because at the end of the day, Ajit Pawar also gets up every morning 5, is up in his office at 6 a.m. He's a very hard-working politician. Perhaps...
He wakes up at 5. Eknath Shinde sleeps at 5, and that's the cycle of Maharashtra politics. Naresh Arora is with us. He's on point and on brand. He's wearing pink. You got your client to wear pink and you're wearing pink yourself, exuding pink and smiling at the end of what's been a hectic campaign, but you've struck electoral gold in Maharashtra. So congratulations, Naresh.
Thank you, Rahul, and thank you, Rajdeep. As Mr. Pawar has already tweeted, so Maharashtra has chosen pink, so it's befitting that I should be wearing pink today.
Were you expecting this result, 39 out of 59 odd seats, or is this even better? Because Sharad Pawar's faction is reduced to just 12. This is a complete turnaround from the Lok Sabha campaign where the strike rate is 1 out of 5. The tables have completely turned in terms of which is the real NCP.
Well, of course, when Rajdeep and Rahul, both of you were in Maharashtra, we were discussing, and I was confident that we'll be touching somewhere around 35 to 40 seats. And to be honest, 40 was not the number we were looking at. We were aiming for, but yes, something around 35 we were confident that we will be achieving. And we were contesting 57 seats on our symbol, and out of that, we should be around 40. My numbers are suggesting that there is one seat where we are marginally trailing. So I think we should be touching 40.
What, according to you, changed between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha? Quite apart from you joining hands with Ajit Pawar, I'm sure that had some impact. But what, according to you, was the major factor that changed between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha so much?
See, apart from whatever the government schemes and the campaign and the projection, etc., there was one thing which Ajit Pawar had to understand about the change of his role from an administrator, which everyone vouches for him from opposition to the people who are in power, he had to take on the role of a vote getter as well. He was a person who was reluctant for media. He never used to speak to media. He was never going out for public meetings and the interactions that a vote getter should be doing or a party president should be doing. So first of all, it was the change required for him to understand that he has a bigger and a different role now. Once he understood that that is his role, of course, you could see everything changing on the ground, from Jan Samman Yatra to the adoring of the pink color and getting to the women folk pair to see that they connect with him, whatever he is wanting to communicate. And mind you, Rajdeep understands Marathi more than anyone else, that he is a very good orator as well. So that those oratory skills were not being utilized as the way they should have been for a leader who's wanting to have votes for his party in his name or on his symbol.
But why, may I ask you why pink? May I ask you why pink? And is it true that you asked him to smile more?
Well, Rahul asked the same question to me on the India Today conclave, but it's not that I have to ask him to smile more. It's just that he needs to speak to people more. And while speaking, of course, his original self does come out. And one other thing which I told that time also, that probably for 30 years that he's not been smiling or has not been seen smiling, probably that is why people notice it more.
You know, you worked with Ashok Gehlot before this. What's the difference between working for Ashok Gehlot and working for Ajit Pawar?
Both were different experiences, but when you work with a regional setup, the decision making is quicker and faster. There are less number of tables through which the files pass. So that gives the freedom of implementation at a faster pace, because an idea is only as good as its execution. So whatever ideas are discussed, there is a small group of people who discuss and then they decide, and then implementation becomes easier. Whereas with their party like Congress, even with Mr. Ashok Gehlot at the helm of affairs, he still had to follow a lot of protocols of the party and take the central leadership into confidence and probably have some very difference of opinions on certain stages, which I'm sure that they do now. That what happened in Rajasthan, there was an election for them to win, and they just let it.
You know, you worked with the Congress in the past, Naresh. Where do you think the Congress in particular and the opposition in general got this campaign so horribly wrong? Do a SWOT analysis.
I see there are multiple levels where I was surprised, in fact, that the opposition was the way it was running its campaign. Starting point being not being clear of what to do with the Ladki Bahin Yojana. They were very confused about it. They didn't know whether to criticize it, whether to endorse it, whether to approve it. And surprisingly, a lot of opposition candidates, once the Ladki Bahin Yojana was successful and its implementation was happening the way it was, they started trying to take credit of that scheme also as on an MLA level. So there was a lot of confusion with that, number one. Secondly, I think they left the playing field open for too long. They should have been on the battleground, I think, at least 60 to 70 days before they started. And third thing, which was, I think, the biggest thing which would hurt them now, is that when the ticket distribution was being discussed, of course, there are differences in every alliance. The parties are, of course, jostling for seats from each other, but they let it out in open for too long. So I think once the tickets were settled, and then they sprung into the race with whatever the guarantees they were promising, but it was too late in the game for people to even remember those guarantees. And to be honest, even the promises that as NCP or as Alliance, as Mahayuti, what we made, they would have also not reached people as much as Ladki Bahin Yojana reached, because every promise dissemination requires time. It requires planning and execution. In our campaign, because we had the luxury of time, which we generally don't have with the Congress campaigns, our party, despite of not having any cadre, we were able to touch 18 lakh households. And those household touching is resulting into the votes into the seats also, where we were marginally behind also. So those seats have come to us. So I think they were late in the game and they were confused about it. There were a lot of confusing signals from every leader coming out of it, despite of them running a very cohesive campaign during the Lok Sabha elections. But this time around, I think there was a lot of confusion. Probably they were smelling power, they were sensing power, and that is why the tug of war was there. I don't know about that, but on the face
you
of it,
usually-
I could
Go
see
on,
that
Preeti,
whenever
please.
we used to sit and discuss that they were very late in the game.
But Mr. Arora, how do you stem the confusion in your own department? Because messaging was key, especially on certain key areas. When it came down to Mr. Ajit Pawar, especially on the cutenge-butenge issue, he walked a very tight rope line. He needed to give up the, in terms of messaging, not really play the field because he had a sizable Muslim support as well. So what was your input on that? How did that kind of messaging get dispensed out?
See, our take was very simple from day one, that NCP needs to have its individual identity. It needs to tread the path that they have done till now, keeping in mind the alliance dharma. And wherever it came to positioning themselves on issues where they have had an ideology, and it is not just with this particular slogan which you are talking about. I'll just take you back 2-3 months. There were 2-3 major incidents which happened related to the minority community, in which
Yes.
Mr. Ajit Pawar took a very clear stand, including that was the Waqf Board bill. And then there was a Vishalgarh incident. So Ajit Pawar was very clear of what his stand is, what he stands by. And that BJP had accepted that, okay, fine, this is your territory, you can be what you want to be. And Ajit Pawar was very clear that this is what I have prayed my entire life and my ideology stands for this. I will be standing for that.
Interesting there, Naresh Arora. You.
I have a couple of more questions.
Yes, go, please.
No, so you're usually an astute observer of national politics. What impact does this 1-1 scoreline, Maharashtra, massive victory for the NDA, India Alliance winning big in Jharkhand, what impact does this have in the immediate on the discourse in national politics?
See, with all due respect to the victory of India Alliance in Jharkhand, Maharashtra is something very different. Maharashtra is the financial capital. Maharashtra is the hub of all politicking after Delhi, despite of being far away from Delhi. So Maharashtra victory matters a great deal in national discourse. Yes, the victory for opposition in the Jharkhand elections will give them some heart to keep going. But other than that, I see that the NDA government at center getting more confident about their performance or their next years in power, because the verdict in 24 was not that sounding as they would have liked. So I think that Maharashtra victory will give them a lot of heart and confidence to go forward. And next step, I think they would be focusing very, very prominently on Delhi.
And what would you leave? Where would you leave the Congress? What does, do you believe that the Congress has to completely reboot, make major changes in the way it runs, including right at the very top?
And get Naresh Arora back.
Yeah,
He used to be with the Congress. Now it's a bit of a dagger's drawn situation.
He's got a
Are
problem
you willing
with
to
it.
go back and pad up for the Congress
And
again?
if so, how would you do it? What would you do? If you had one piece of advice to the Congress, what would it be?
I can't advise Congress party anymore because, first of all, I'm not officially working with them. Secondly, Rajdeep, you have known that I have been very vocal about the requirements Congress party needs to look into. The small victories here and there give them a misconception that they are on the right path. The path is still not right. The way they run and the way they function, it needs to change drastically. And I don't think so they are up for it. But they are very important for India's democracy. They are an opposition party. They are the biggest opposition party. So I hope that they learn from something somewhere. Because after 24 parliament elections, one could see that after 99 seats, the atmosphere was like as if something has changed turned on its head. But that was just one step towards whatever they have been aiming for. They need to understand that this is a long run battle and they can't be always preparing for the next election. They always think about the next election. They don't think about the election that they are contesting. In that election, they need to put their head into, they need to spend time. You can't buy time with money, but you can defeat money by time. And that is where I think they lack, because they keep complaining about resources crunch, etc. But with time, you can make up for that. But with resources, you can't make up time. So that is my only advice to them, not today, but it has been since the day I've been working with them or had worked with them.
Okay. Naresh Arora, in your pink there, I possibly...
So what's your reading of what happens in Delhi? If you were to predict Delhi at this time on the back of this big victory, which side would you pick? Why?
I think, Rahul, I have no data on Delhi. You know that how in course we were in Maharashtra and I didn't even go to Delhi for 4 months. So once I go to Delhi, probably I have a better idea. But if I see from far away distance, I think there'll be a tougher battle than it has been in last two elections.
Okay.
Okay. Naresh Arora, in pink at the Oberoi suite, that he's got a good life. He's been overlooking the sea. Good luck to you and well done.
But it's a tough
Congratulations.
life. It's a tough life.
It's tough. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes or no? Kyun?
Yes
It's
or no?
a tough life.
Oberoi suite में आप और हम भी बैठ जाते हैं.
Complete yes, Rajdeep. It is a complete yes, Rajdeep. You only see me where you are naming me to be, but you don't come to me with the ground campaigns. One day you should, and then you'll probably have a different idea about it.
Okay, fair enough.
But tough life also, because take for example a rooted politician like Ajit Pawar, to convince essentially someone who's a strategist, who doesn't speak Marathi, is a Punjabi in Maharashtra, and this is a zameen se utha hua neta. It's not an easy ask. You know,
and to Ajit Pawar's
said, you know, the likes of Naresh Arora have a very tough time. It's not easy. You come with your laptop, young kids giving advice about Maharashtra to the guy who's lived there all his life.
Frankly speaking, Ajit Pawar, you know, ever since he came out, he genuinely wanted to understand how much of NCP voters from a data point are with him and how much are with his uncle. You know, and he throughout, even
but he
during
also listened. Ajit Pawar,
he has been listening because he, you know, there is only so much that he can now trust on because the entire onus of the party leadership is now on him, which so far wasn't the case because Sharad Pawar was doing a lot of heavy
in
lifting.
fact, I think Naresh made a good point. For his entire political career, he's been the administrator. That's the role that he's been. That was his self-image.
Was looking out
Suddenly,
for...
he found himself in a very different role, making that adjustment not easy. And good, you know, all credit therefore to Naresh for being able to achieve that and being able to do it.
But ultimately, you have a point. Amitabh Tiwari has a point. Go on.
Nareshji, many congratulations. Amitabh this side. Can you elaborate on the specific strategy? Did you have some specific strategy for the Sharad Pawar contest, or it was same for all the seats you had?
To be honest, Amitabhji, there was nothing of that sort that we were thinking about it. Our only agenda was to put our head down and see that how our strong candidates are. First of all, the understanding which NCP had before I came in was that they wanted to contest an X number of seats. I told them that there is no point in bravado of showing how many number of seats you are contesting. The bravado is going to be how many number of seats you win. With that understanding, once we were clear that these are the number of seats which we should be ideally needing to contest to reach a certain number of seats as in our victory basket. Once that was clear, then the candidate selection to be to happen in a way that we are not compromising on candidates because of recommendations. So the complete understanding was on that count also. Once the candidate selection was complete, parallelly we were obviously doing the campaign on the ground very silently. People talk about the Jan Saman Yatra and the pink color, etc., because they are loud, they are visible, they were everywhere on social media. But I would give more credit to my team on the ground because we had people in every constituency assisting the candidates or the to-be candidates in a way that we were knocking the doors, like, if I even have to say so myself, like RSS, to ensure that whatever schemes or welfareism has been done by the candidate itself in the constituency, irrespective of the narrative in the state, should be acknowledged and appreciated by the voters. NCP was the only party in this election and probably ever that they launched 57 constituency manifestos. Parallelly, even Mr. Ajit Pawar released a Baramati manifesto, which probably has never happened. So we tried to localize the election as much, bank on the candidates and the newfound mojo of Mr. Ajit Pawar in combination, alongside, of course, the runaway winner Ladki Bahin Yojana. This combo, I think, worked better for us rather than, if you would have seen Mr. Ajit Pawar's speeches throughout Jan Saman Yatra and as well as the campaign trail, he never even accused or used anything against Mr. Sharad Pawar or anyone like that, because he was very clear, we were very clear that our campaign has to be positive, and I've always been a believer that negative campaigns will get you headlines and positive campaigns will get you votes.
Okay.
That's an important. He's got some
Naresh, nice one-liners today. Thanks very much.
He's on form. Itna strike rate aega, the form mein Yogana batsman.
Well, you know, out of the three, the Eknath Shinde 70%, you've got 62% Ajit Pawar, and you've got about 74% BJP.
Rajdeep, 68.
No, 85.
Okay, 62.7% as per our thing at the moment. You may win a couple of more.
But the
70%.
But the difference is you start from a base of 20%.
25,
You're 1 out of 5. From there to turn it around is that much tougher because of the low base effect. आप नीचे से उठा के ऊपर ला रहे हो ना.
But just keep in mind, most of the MLAs, sitting MLAs went with the Ajit Pawar faction. Please don't forget that. The sitting MLAs did. And most of them, as I said, had their base already settled.
And
I'm not saying it's easy. He deserves credit, as do all the three. I just want to say on the other side, you had Sunil Kanugulu. A year ago, you were felicitating him, celebrating him after Karnataka and Telangana. Nothing is permanent in life and in the life of a consultant. Both of them now will have to, and he's now a member of the Congress party. And the question will be raised, how did you do your
happened in
survey?
Haryana.
So he's lost Haryana and he's now lost Maharashtra.
This is a bad...
Jharkhand was driven by Hemant Soren and his team principally. So question will be raised about on the other side. Look at K.C. Venugopal, Congress Secretary Organization. He's lost 80. Ever since he became Congress General Secretary Organization, which is the key post. That's the key post. They've lost 80% of the seats.
When will he be replaced, Rajdeep?
No, so now the thing is, the only way is you send him to Kerala. There's an election there in 14 months. Yeah. My point is the Congress willing to take those tough decisions? That Mr. Venu...
But RG loves him.
No, so therefore, you see, Rahul, you can't run a top corporate if you love someone. Is he efficient? Does he deliver?
Rajdeep, we've got news break coming in. Swara Bhaskar's husband is now trailing from Anushakti Nagar and he's lost actually. Has he? No, he's still trailing. And actor Swara Bhaskar is now and her husband both are blaming the EVMs. Let's listen in quickly. Let's dip in.
जैसा कि आप इलेक्शन कमीशन की वेबसाइट पे देख रहे थे, मैं लगातार जो है आगे चल रहा था, हत्ता कि 17वें राउंड तक जो है मैं आगे चल रहा था और कुल राउंड जो थे वो 19 थे। और फिर एक मिस्ट्री चालू होती है कि जो ईवीएम सुबह वोटिंग के दिन सुबह 7 बजे से लेके शाम को 6 बजे तक चली थी, उनकी 99% बैटरी निकलती है और वो 99% बैटरी जहाँ जहाँ निकलती है उसमें मेरी जो सामने वाली उम्मीदवार हैं सना मलिक जी, जो सुबह से यहाँ नहीं आई थी, शायद उनको अंदाज़ा था, हम लोग यहाँ 5:30 बजे आ गए थे लेकिन वो अब तक यहाँ नहीं आई थी, शायद उनको अंदाज़ा था। लेकिन जिस तरह की शायद महाराष्ट्र के अंदर जिस तरह की भी चीज़ें चल रही थी, उस घटना के बाद जो रुख महाराष्ट्र की राजनीति में हो रहा था, 99% की जो ईवीएम निकल रही थी उसमें मेरे से उनको डबल वोट मिल रहा था और बूथ पे वो मुझसे पीछे चल रही हैं। लेकिन जैसे ही कोई भी ईवीएम खुलती है जिसमें 99% बैटरी है, उस ईवीएम को कहीं ना कहीं किसी ना किसी तरीके से उसमें डबल ट्रिपल का मार्जिन सना मलिक जी लेके चल रही हैं।
Fahad Ahmed was on the symbol of NCP Sharad Pawar from the Samajwadi Party, seemingly has lost his election. Rajdeep, exactly now the same line. Haryana elections, the Congress went to the EC on battery, being at 99%. You had Sanjay Raut this morning who again questioned the EVMs, and now you even have other candidates.
This is bizarre and this is the problem. You find the wrong EVMs. You see, all the candidates of the NCP Congress who won, how have they won? Are we saying that
you won in Jharkhand?
I mean, ridiculous. It absolutely, this is the problem. If you don't introspect, before we broke into that breaking news, has K.C. Venugopal delivered? He may be a nice guy. He may be a loyalist.
For the BJP, he has.
Where?
For the BJP,
For the BJP, yes, okay.
No, but it's true.
No, but the truth is, look, and you can't blame one person, but there is something systemically wrong. Have you got the right people at the right place? Have you got the right general secretaries? Have you got the system in place where you can make sure...
No, but Rahul Gandhi's been talking about changing the structure, having a separate political secretary, having somebody in charge of the north, having somebody in charge of the south. Kiya nahi na, ye baatein hi chal rahi itne saal se.
No, but now...
Rajdeep, where has been the stock taking post Haryana? In Haryana, you are still not being able to pick a leader of opposition because the infighting is still going on.
Yeah, Mr. Huda is still very much around. Mr. Huda is still very much around. In fact, I got a message from Mr. Huda the other day, strangely enough. He was watching one of our programs and he said, "Ye dahi misal aap kha rahe ho, kahan milta hai?" So maine kaha, uske liye aapko Mumbai aana padega. I said, "Where are you?" He's in Chandigarh. So basically, he's still around. He's not gone. Nobody goes away anywhere in Congress. That's okay. My point is, where is your accountability, introspection? What's the analysis that you do? A, B, C, D cost us the election. This is how we are going to change it. Unless you do that, Delhi at the moment, Devendra Prasad Yadav, their leader for Delhi, is on a yatra, Padayatra. Good luck to him. The question is, how are you going to take that yatra forward? What's your agenda?
But that yatra was supposed to be Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi's yatra. So they haven't come on that yatra where Delhi is concerned, and I don't see them coming as well.
No, so
you practically left the field where Delhi is concerned.
You can't flit in and out. Priyanka Gandhi did 4 meetings. You know, there were
But
four...
she's won big, okay? She's won in style. Listen, this is the first victory she's won. Her last look, but be fair to her.
Yeah, sure.
Her last campaign was in Uttar Pradesh when she ran the campaign as General Secretary. The party did poorly there.
What's her margin?
From her, she's 4 lakhs plus. I mean, 4 lakhs 60 when I last saw. I mean, we can check that. But the fact is, for her to win, you know, she'll be entering parliament in her individual capacity.
Over Rahul Gandhi.
Yeah, in her individual capacity. This is her first, it's a big day for her. It's her first electoral victory.
Good luck to her. And, you know, it's credit anyone who wins any election. But you've lost the big prize. It's like saying, you know, आप हमको आज आपको consolation prize दे रहे हैं, आप वायनाड जीते हैं. You've lost the big prize. Yes, you've done well in Jharkhand, and I think we need to emphasize that. I mean, you can't ignore what's happened in Jharkhand. It's now 2-1. It's a comprehensive. Please understand, Hemanta Biswa Sarma, who calls himself Mini Chanakya.
थोड़ा हवा निकल गई.
नहीं, थोड़ा नहीं. हम लोग ही मीडिया पे कहते हैं ना, Hemanta Biswa Sarma, king. He's lost. Shivraj Singh Chauhan spent much of the life. I sometimes wonder some of the ministers whether they spend far too much time. You know, Bhupendra Yadav in Maharashtra, all very good. But you're a minister in the government of India. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, charge of Jharkhand every weekend in Jharkhand. You've lost. Jharkhand is a big defeat. If this was a sole election day, the India Alliance could claim huge brownie points. It's been drowned by the tsunami in Maharashtra.
No,
but I would hope after Maharashtra, Bhupendra Yadav maybe will look at the environment in Delhi, the air.
No, it shows, Preeti, it shows that you can win elections. It's not as if anyone is invincible. The BJP is not invincible.
Far from.
You've got, you know, even you've got Hema, you have to work at an election, plan it out, have a charismatic face. Hemant Soren and Kalpana Soren were charismatic faces. Uddhav Thackeray spent most of his time in the last 3 months sulking, some believe because he was not being made chief minister. Sharad Pawar is 84. You can't expect, you know, someone advised...
Okay, Aditya Thackeray has won worldly by 8,100 votes. What a relief. 8,100 is a reasonable margin. The Lok Sabha margin was 6,500.
No, decent margin. Good luck to Aditya.
And the MNS candidate had a role to play because he took away some of the
now the question comes, what does Aditya Thackeray do? He has to then spend the next 5 years aggressively becoming the face of the Shiv Sena. Aggressively. You can't now, you know, be behind the closed doors of Matorshi. You're going to have to change the way you function. Aditya has an opportunity to become a future face.
You have a BMC election in the next few months.
So
take it away.
put all your effort on that, and maybe you can revive your party. So Sharad Pawar 84. Somebody advised Supriya Sule, for example, I'm told, why don't you do Kharche Pe Charcha to take on this Ladki Bahin? Go out and say what you said, what Sheila said, prices have gone up. There was no response. You've got to do that. You've got to be out there, you know, among the people. Sharad Pawar 84 tried his best, but obviously not good enough. And number 3, Congress leaders. Who is the Congress face? Balasaheb Thorat was giving interviews how I'm going to be CM. He's losing his own seat as of now. Nana Patole, every time you put a mic in front of his face, was talking
and he
more
might also
about...
lose.
You know,
he's struggling.
Yeah,
This
so
defeat, Rajdeep, this defeat, where the Mahavikas Aghadi is
So you had Devendra Fadnavis, face of the BJP, Eknath Shinde, face of the Shiv Sena, Ajit Pawar, face of the Pawar Sena. All of them out there. Ajit Pawar did a yatra. Eknath Shinde would do 6 meetings on an average per day. Devendra Fadnavis was all over the place.
But despite of all of that, Rajdeep, the 3 members of the Mahavikas Aghadi, even though Sharad Pawar did the maximum, had his act together, is now the biggest loser if you look at the numbers.
That's because...
And even where his party stands
today.
Sure,
ma'am. But that's because for the simple reason that his party, he lost his party.
Exactly.
That's
but Rajdeep, Uddhav Thackeray with Aditya Thackeray will still have a shot at redemption where the BMC elections are concerned. The Congress can still galvanize itself. But the Sharad Pawar NCP faction is now the weakest link.
It is the weakest link.
Over-dependent on Sharad Pawar.
Exactly.
All the candidates had no other narrative than carrying a photo.
You know what? If I was Sharad Pawar, what I would do?
merge with the Congress.
Merge with the Congress. This is your only hope. Eventually, that has to happen. And
3 parties might be left.
yeah. So eventually, if you have to revive yourself, you're going to have to do that.
He'll have no choice but to do that right now.
Ensure some safety for Supriya Sule. Otherwise, what will she do?
And Rajdeep, isn't this the prime time to do that? Because most of the biggest movers and shakers or the big leaders of the Congress have actually lost. Where Maharashtra state unit is concerned.
The good news today is the 5 years of instability that has racked Maharashtra is over. And that's good for India's commercial capital. You don't want instability. You want stable governments because stable governments attract investors. Maharashtra has lost out.
And hopefully we won't
let people
torture
through.
There was a big threat that he wanted to cancel the Dharavi contract and that would have sent Dharavi back. Now at least you can build it out in the next 5 years.
Sure. So I think it's important to recognize India's commercial capital chose stability, and after all the uncertainty of the last 5 years, at least we know next 5 years, whoever becomes chief minister knows that he's stable. So, I mean, I think from all those points of view, from a larger Maharashtra perspective, at least that chronic instability of the state is over. And good luck to that. I mean, I've called my book The Election That Surprised India. Every election this year has surprised us. Today is the scale of the victory. To some extent, Jharkhand has surprised us. We thought the BJP would win Jharkhand. So every election is surprised.
Image is now out of Hemant Soren. Everybody has this image, and I'm sorry, I might be sounding stereotypical, but you have this image of this tribal leader like Shibu Soren. He's quite different. He's listening to music, he's got his laptop on,
drives a Mercedes,
tracking everything. So he's a very different kind of tribal leader, but to be fair to him, he's won, and he's won in style. 55 versus 25. In the context of the way Jharkhand was set up is a phenomenal victory. It's not a small victory. And the hero of that victory really is the man on your screen right now. The first image that we've seen of him, Hemant Soren, winning Jharkhand in style. And his party, and I'll show that to you on the election intelligence dashboard. If you go and look at the numbers from Jharkhand, this is not by any stretch of imagination a small victory. In Jharkhand, 55 seats for the India Alliance, 33 of them for the JMM alone. Now remember, the JMM by itself is more than the NDA alliance put together. That is a huge victory. 22 seats for the BJP, the JMM at 33 seats by itself, the Congress at 16. The narratives can change, theories can change. It's not Kamzor Kadi. Everybody said Congress will be Kamzor Kadi in Jharkhand. Congress is not the Kamzor Kadi in Jharkhand.
They have maintained what they had won in 2019 election.
Everybody thought yehi Raut honge.
Correct.
Rajdeep, what do you make of that? Everybody is convinced that Congress will be the Kamzor Kadi in Jharkhand. It's not the Kamzor Kadi.
But we thought of that in Uttar Pradesh. My point, and this is again controversial, Congress gets pulled up by the regional party. Yes. You see, where the regional party is strong, the Congress gets pulled up. You remember 2011 in Bengal? The Congress had its best ever performance in 30 years, pulled up because they were with Mamata Banerjee. You remember Uttar Pradesh 2024 Lok Sabha, Congress got pulled up by Samajwadi Party. I maintain, Rahul, it's a controversial thing to say, barring Karnataka, to some extent Himachal, show me in direct fights Congress, BJP, when does the Congress best them? No, doesn't happen.
Karnataka they did last.
I gave you two examples.
Himachal.
Just two. Himachal, and Himachal also very small. The margin was very small.
Was very small.
Karnataka was a little...
What percentage?
What percent? But by and large, you need imagine if Congress and JDS were together. They'd have a better chance always in Karnataka versus the BJP. The BJP has found traditionally much more difficult to defeat regional parties that are well entrenched, whether it's Mamata, whether it's a Hemant Soren now, whether it's a DMK.
Even in these Jharkhand numbers, look at this. The BJP is 10% above the JMM in terms of vote share. The BJP is 33.3, the JMM is 23.3, a 10% gap. The Congress hasn't done badly in...
No, that gap is because BJP contested all seats.
No, but I'm saying Congress is 16%, which is not bad by Congress's stand. I mean, 16% where they were expected to be completely decimated.
And come seats contest here, Congress.
And remember, the thing is here, this is the JLKM factor. Rest is 16%.
Has done very well.
Basically, the BJP has been done in by Tiger Mato. That is one of the subtext stories of this election. A bit like MNS in 2009 in Maharashtra, which helped the Congress party. Something similar has happened in Jharkhand as well, which they tried to deal with Amitabh Tiwari, but simply in the end couldn't.
It seems that they have pulled down, especially Ajsu, if you see, is down to 3.8%. They were 8.2% last time. And in seats where there is a good amount of Kurmi population, including Kolhan and South Chota Nagpur, it seems that they have damaged the prospects of BJP, including my seat, which is Bokaro. The Congress party is ahead, primarily due to the JLKM doing very well and bagging around 10 to 12,000 votes.
In general, though, it shows perhaps, as I said, that politics is about arithmetic and chemistry. The chemistry that you've got in Jharkhand with the Sorens getting the sympathy after Hemant Soren's incarceration, Champai Soren leaving him, deserting them. There was a sense that the Hemant Soren got the benefit of that, Kalpana Soren's campaign. Plus, you get a third factor which comes in and takes away your vote. But you've got to try it. It might happen luck by chance. but sometimes you've got to try. What stopped? For example, the BJP already had a plan B in Maharashtra. They didn't need it. Prakash Ambedkar, put up all these small parties, get them to cut the anti-incumbency vote. You didn't need it, but it could have helped you additionally. Politics, I just failed to see whether the Congress realizes how elections have to be fought in India against a party as powerful as the BJP. And if they don't realize that, they will continue to suffer setbacks like they have in Maharashtra. But they've got Jharkhand, so they've got at least some consolation, more than a consolation prize, I would say. Jharkhand is not a consolation prize, it's a big victory. Wayanad, you could call a consolation prize for Priyanka Gandhi.
Wayanad was a given, right?
I think 6 out of 9 was the UP by-election figure.
7 out of 9 is what...
So, for Akhilesh Yadav, it's also a reminder that you still have a long road before what happens in 2027 UP. Mamata Banerjee recovers from the blow.
Rajdeep, what's also interesting is look at Bihar. You have Prashant Kishor, who made his political debut. He's not doing so badly.
What is he getting?
Well, he's number 3.
And getting a substantial
But he's getting substantial seats from where he started.
But what it means, Amitabh, is come next year, when Bihar is going to be the big election in November, if Prashant Kishor still campaigns furiously, is he going to take more votes of the anti-BJP JDU vote and thereby damage the RJD?
That is what is already happening on 3 out of 4 seats. On 2 seats, their candidates are bagging almost 30,000 votes.
So what does the RJD then do in such a situation? If you were sort of advising the RJD, would you tell them go and embrace Prashant Kishor, try and work out a deal with them?
First of all, you don't have to take them lightly. That's the first rule.
You're saying Prashant Kishor could be a factor in Bihar 2025?
Could be a factor. If he continues to do like this,
The other thing, Rajdeep, look at Punjab. 4 bypolls. Everybody thought that the Aam Aadmi Party was receding in Punjab and the Congress was on a surge. But right now, the Aam Aadmi Party seemingly well ahead in 3 out of 4.
And the one Congress? One Congress, okay. So that's a state where both the BJP and Akalis have struggled in recent times. India is distinct. Every state is distinct to the other. My home state of Maharashtra has chosen one way, which I think really shows that stability. I think one of the factors we also lost out on was stability. Ladki Bahin, ek hai to safe hai, but just the feeling that we want a stable government in Maharashtra does make a difference. And they've chosen a stable government. Mahavikas Aghadi was seen as too chaotic.
And I think over a period of time, if you see per capita income, you see overall position of Maharashtra in development indices, it has really gone down. And it is largely because that there is lack of stability and collectively, and this is how our citizens choose people. They do that decision in a very decentralized manner, but net they elect stability on an aggregate.
Nanded was also going for bypolls, Rajdeep. I think what BJP is leading.
No, but the thing is, with 125 odd seats, the BJP can now run Maharashtra the way that Maharashtra needs to be run in their lens. They're not dependent on the allies for survival. So if there's a BJP chief minister, there's no excuse for corruption or for misgovernance. They better deliver.
Absolutely, and I think, it is going to reduce the number of ministership for the alliance partners. They won't get as many as they've got earlier. So you will see a more tighter ship being run. Now that you have 50,000 crore of additional burden on your exchequer, you will have to do certain things to actually meet that extra expense. You have to account for that. Moreover, you've promised much more than 1,500. You said much more things, I think 3,000 or something. 2,100. So you'll have to account for those additional amounts year over year. So something miraculous has to be done to bring the development story back into the state of Maharashtra. The task is cut out, be it Fadnavis or Shinde, whosoever becomes the chief minister, the task is cut out to bring the trajectory of development back into Maharashtra, ensure that there is stable, development-focused governance over the next 5 years.
And one point, Amit Malviya, when he said, we've done a lot for rural Maharashtra, that's not true. This government did a lot for urban Maharashtra, and in general, all governments in recent times have done much more for urban Maharashtra than rural. You go to a Yavatmal, there's just one private factory.
No, but you can't say that. No, 1 second.
No,
how can you decide? Look at, here we have the mood of rural Maharashtra as evinced in the largest poll that is ever possible.
Boss.
Beyond that is your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion.
In rural, I'll show you the data. In rural Maharashtra.
Sir,
1 second. Out of the 173 seats, Raj, let the data speak for itself. Everybody else is just
I'll counter it.
138 seats for the NDA in rural Maharashtra. The India Alliance only with 29 seats. If people in rural Maharashtra were as unhappy with this government as you're saying that they were, this wouldn't be the way it is. BJP having 70 seats in rural Maharashtra Maharashtra, Sena at 33, NCP at 33. The
You see, this
Congress is 9, the Sharad Pawar faction is 9, UBT is 10.
This is where, sir, the problem comes with statistics. I will throw you statistics at you which show exactly the opposite in terms of the regional economic inequalities of Maharashtra. Look at the amount of monies that are spent in the Nashik, Mumbai, Pune corridor. 75%. Forget about an election. An election cannot decide on economic inequalities that exist on the ground. Go to a Yavatmal and you will find just one private factory run by Raymonds and that's it. MIDC has become a land bank. MIDC does not invest in rural Maharashtra anymore. You don't have deindustrialization and you actually have industrialization concentrated only, and it's not now. It's over 40 years. I will throw you some figures. Bloomberg did a great article on this to show the stark regional inequalities. My takeaway from Maharashtra was, go beyond the bright lights of Mumbai and Pune.
I agree.
Some parts of Maharashtra have statistics.
Rajdeep, but you can't speak for the voters of rural Maharashtra. The voters have spoken for themselves. The question is, who did... One second. Rajdeep, you can't theorize outside the data. The data theorizes itself.
No, 1 minute.
Who do voters of rural Maharashtra think will do better for them over the last 5 years, over the next 5 years? So
Maharashtra today, just a minute, sir. Let me throw you data. You're a data man, you run business today as well. Maharashtra has slipped in per capita income among large states today. Maharashtra ranks 6th, where it used to rank 1. 2 more points suggesting has dropped from 2nd to 6th just in the last decade. Services, which contributed over half the state's output, are buoyant, but industrial growth has declined. You've got to look at the numbers. That's the numbers. Maharashtra is a state.
No, Rajdeep, the question before voters in rural Maharashtra was, who do you think is best suited to address your problems over the next 5 years? They've spoken for themselves and they've spoken very loudly.
I raised another point. I said, what is the challenge for any government?
Of course.
When I see governments showcasing Coastal Road, Atal Setu, Samriddhi Express, all very well. Then I suggest they all travel to Gadchiroli, travel to Yavatmal, travel to Amravati and see the other Maharashtra. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
If they don't, one day or the other they will pay a
One
price.
Congress leader speaking out against this tirade against EVM, Santosh Lad speaking to Nagarjun Dwarkanath this time, saying that, you shouldn't be questioning EVMs in this fashion. Let's take a look. Okay, no, in fact, he's questioning EVM, saying, how can someone have this margin after 10 years of anti-incumbency?
Even if you don't hear them, you know what they're going to say.
Let's listen to Santosh Lad, the Labour Minister of Karnataka.
The alliance is leading. In Maharashtra, you are decimated completely.
I don't know, boss. See, I'm not trying to make an issue out of it. But certainly, I think all the analysts in the whole of India, I don't know what is the mechanism why we have lost so much. The reason is, even in MP, when you see Madhya Pradesh, the ruling government has got 8% of increase of vote share. It is surprising. Even if Congress gets, I would like to know what is the reason. I'm not trying to, straight away blame, but always I'm trying to put there is a doubt, element of doubt. The reason is, could be there is a chance of tampering. The reason is, in the parliament election, same Modi ji comes and he does not get some mandate there. After 6 months, the same ruling government, which definitely runs with an anti-incumbency, does get so much huge of majority, is always a question mark. Even if Congress would have won, there has to be reasoning why it has won with such thumbing majority. There has to be a reason, there has to be a disaster. And employment issue in Maharashtra is highest. Employment issue, especially IIT Mumbai, 38% of youngsters are not getting the job. In whole of Maharashtra, unemployment was a big issue. Highest farmer suicide was an issue there. I don't know for what people have voted. What is the reason there? Let us admit that if we are making a political allegation, I'm interested to ask the other political party, BJP friends, what is the reason that you have got 2024? Will anybody put the right hand on the left out of their chest and say, consciously they were aware that they are going to get such landslide victory? No. In the ground, nobody felt this. I'm not trying to make a blame game, but I would like to understand, as a political, anybody who is an analyst of politics, they should come back to and say, how could they get this mandate? I feel there must be a chance that the same EVM machines which was there in MP, they have bought it here, or something must be beyond this, because at any given point of time, in this modern world of politics, any political party which has ruled 10 years and getting back this mandate, I personally doubt.
Naturally, people of this point, critic of this point, will say that Jharkhand, you are one. You are not blaming the EVMs. The moment Congress loses a state, you start blaming the EVMs. How fair is this?
Pick and choose, no? The Jharkhand is a smaller state. They wanted to prove their metal and the point here. They could set any machines anywhere if they want. So I would like to still understand why could not they win Jharkhand? Then I will put the other questions. When you showed that Jharkhand chief minister was one of the most corrupt, you put him behind bars for no reason. Then why did they lose there? And why did they win Mumbai? What is the reason then? There is the same technical question I can ask them. Then why did they lose Jharkhand and why did they win only Maharashtra? Why? What is the reason? Have they got any reason for that?
No, this is a loser's lament. You can't lose in Maharashtra, win Jharkhand and say EVMs were fine in Jharkhand but they were not in Maharashtra. That's just terrible. Yeah, I want to go to Ranchi. Ghulam Ahmed Mir, the unheralded Congress in charge of Jharkhand, is speaking. Last time RPN Singh did this job with some success. He's now of course in the BJP. Let's listen to Ghulam Mir.
झारखंड चुनावों के नतीजों को लेकर एक तरह से आप कह सकते हैं कि तस्वीर अब साफ हो रही है और जेएमएम गठबंधन इंडिया अलायंस को झारखंड में 50 के आसपास का आंकड़ा आता हुआ दिखाई दे रहा है। कांग्रेस पार्टी के प्रभारी झारखंड के गुलाम अहमद मीर हमारे साथ। सर, ये एंटिसिपेटेड नंबर्स जैसा है या उससे ज्यादा अब रुझानों में आंकड़े दिख रहे हैं इस वक्त आपके लिए?
नहीं, 50 और 50 प्लस हमारा एक इंटरनल अपना एक्सपेक्टेड फिगर था। तो बाकी फिर जब ट्रेंड चलता है जो कॉन्फिडेंशियल लोगों के पास होता है वो नीचे भी गिरा सकता है, ऊपर भी कर सकता है, बट हमारा बिफोर रिजल्ट जो आंकलन था वो 50 प्लस का था टोटल गठबंधन का। तो तकरीबन अभी तक जो ट्रेंड है, अभी तो डिक्लेरेशन हुई नहीं, ट्रेंड जो है वो उसी के आसपास घूम रहा है। सम टाइम 48, 47, 50, 51,
51 के विंडो में आप
उस बीच में है। बट सुबह के रिजल्ट शाम तक आते आते बदलते हैं और सुबह जो पॉजिटिव था हो सकता है वो नेगेटिव भी हो जाए, सुबह जो नेगेटिव था तो वो एरिया टू एरिया वहां डिपेंड करता है। बट बाय एंड लार्ज वही 50 प्लस और -1।
तो ये एक है तो सेफ है, कटेंगे बटेंगे और बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठिया, इसकी वजह से आप लोग दबाव में बहुत ज्यादा थे चुनाव के कैंपेन में। हर वक्त आपको ऑन द टोज रहना पड़ा कैंपेन में। क्या लग रहा है ग्राउंड पे क्या सर?
लोग उसमें इंटरेस्टेड नहीं थे। लोग इंटरेस्टेड थे दोनों सरकारों से, दोनों पार्टियों से, दोनों गठबंधनों से कि आपको हमने यहाँ स्टेट में मौका दिया है, आपने क्या किया है, वो लोग जानना चाहते थे। और भाजपा और एनडीए को सेंटर में 11 साल से दिए हैं। एज ए नेशनल गवर्नमेंट उन्होंने झारखंड के लिए क्या किया है वो सुनना चाहते थे। प्लस आने वाले 5 साल के लिए आपका गठबंधन यहाँ क्या कर सकते है इफ वोटेड टू पावर। और बीजेपी जो आउट ऑफ पावर है यहाँ पर अगर आपको मौका दीजिए स्टेट सेंटर, आप क्या डेफिनेटली वो टोटली आउट ऑफ ट्रैक थे। वो तो जैसे कोई नेशनल चुनाव लड़ रहे थे। तो झारखंड की रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है, झारखंड के एस्पिरेशंस क्या है, उसको तो उन्होंने टच ही नहीं किया।
ठीक है, एक सवाल सर, लगातार कैंपेन के दौरान जब मैं यहाँ झारखंड में चुनाव कवर कर रहा था अलग अलग जगह से, तो ये खबर मिल रही थी कि आप लोगों को कांग्रेस
So that's Ghulam Mir. I mean, congratulations to him. He did a good job in Jharkhand. The Congress has done well. The alliance is romped home in style. But I want to go across right now to Swara Bhaskar. Swara Bhaskar is alleging that in the seat that her husband was fighting in Anushakti Nagar, where he's lost to Sana Malik, the allegation is that there was some tampering with the EVMs or the EVMs weren't working well. Swara Bhaskar is now live with us. She was at a counting center just a moment ago when we connected. So Swara, can you explain the reasons behind you leveling this very serious charge?
Yeah, so we, as I think was reported in the media as well, and was on the Election Commission website, that Fahad has been leading in almost every round except maybe round 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. Barring that, he was leading right up to the 16th round. And even in the rounds where the margin of lead was reducing, the number of votes that both Sanaji and Fahad were getting were like about the same. From the 17th, in the last 3 rounds, which is 17, 18, and 19, this is not my allegation, Rahul. This is the allegation of the counting agents who were inside the booth, who towards the last round started basically questioning the fact that many of the EVMs that were actually most of the EVMs in those rounds were 99% charged. And and the question that they raised was that how can EVMs that have been used throughout the day on the day of polling be 99% charged? Like, how can they have barely been used? And those are the last three rounds, the EVMs. Those are the places where the pattern is quite unusual, right? So, I mean, you're an analyst. So, where there is a pattern of a steady lead, and even where the lead is dropping or reducing, the number of votes polled for both candidates are almost the same. How can in the last three rounds suddenly, there be such a huge jump? So then, and then the EVM be 99% charged. So those were the two sort of things that they found fishy, the counting agents. And now I think that they have made a demand and an application for a recounting and a matching of VVPAT slips to the machines that have allegedly been
So what have the
over
agents you spoke to at the counting center, Swara, told you? Are they willing to consider these charges and investigate them?
So when I'm not there anymore, but at the last moment they were willing to first. They said